Imagine a world where survival meant facing giant predators, harsh climates, and no weapons to protect yourself. 2 million years ago, Homo habilis, the very first humans, stood on the edge of extinction. How did they fight back? Around 2.1 million years ago, Africa was a dangerous land. Vast savannas stretched endlessly, but they were crawling with predators, saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, and fierce raptors, each waiting for a chance to snatch away the weak. Homo habilis, known as the handy man, had just begun carving their place in history. They were smaller, weaker, and slower than their enemies, yet their survival instincts, intelligence, and cooperation made them unlike any species before. Life for Homo habilis revolved around two goals: finding food and protecting their young. A single mistake could mean death, not just for one individual, but for the fragile group that relied on each other for safety. Predators ruled the night. The cries of hyenas echoed across the plains, while owls and eagles hunted silently from above. For a child of Homo habilis, every shadow was a potential killer, every rustle a possible predator. But Homo habilis had something remarkable: hands capable of shaping stone. Their crude tools, sharpened with determination, gave them an edge. These weren't just weapons. They were shields, lifelines that turned prey into fighters against overwhelming odds. Stone flakes became knives to cut meat. Sticks became spears to scare predators. Though primitive, these tools signaled a revolution. Humans were beginning to bend nature in their favor, however small that advantage may have been. Still, tools alone weren't enough. Homo habilis learned that survival came from unity. Alone, they were fragile. Together, they were a force, shouting, throwing stones, and defending one another against attackers who once saw them as easy prey. Children were always at the center of this struggle. Mothers clutched them tightly. Fathers and siblings formed protective circles. The survival of the next generation meant everything. Without them, the species would vanish into the dust of history. Food was another constant battle. Scavenging from carcasses left by lions and leopards, Homo habilis risked everything. A single wrong move while stealing meat could draw deadly attention. But hunger left no choice. It was survival or starvation. Meat was rare and dangerous to obtain. Fruits, roots, and insects filled most of their diet, but every bite was uncertain. Poisonous plants, venomous creatures, and rival groups made every search for food a gamble with life. Homo habilis wasn't just fighting nature, they were fighting the elements. Scorching heat during the day, freezing nights, and sudden storms tested their endurance. Without fire, they relied only on shelter and each other's warmth to survive. Unlike predators, Homo habilis had no sharp claws or powerful jaws. Their strength came from intelligence, an ability to plan, to anticipate danger, and to remember safe places. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next became their shield. Group living meant cooperation. They shared food, warned of threats, and comforted the young. It was this sense of community that kept them alive, forging the earliest bonds of humanity that would echo for millions of years. Predator encounters were brutal. A leopard could snatch a child in seconds, leaving behind nothing but silence. Yet each loss taught Homo habilis valuable lessons: better vigilance, stronger defense, and more determination to keep their group alive. The savanna wasn't just filled with predators. Massive elephants, rhinos, and hippos roamed freely. While dangerous, these giants also left behind opportunities. Bones, marrow, and scraps of meat became crucial resources for hungry Homo habilis groups. Marrow cracked from bones gave energy-rich fat. Tools sharpened on rocks allowed access to food hidden within. These small victories meant survival, and with each generation, Homo habilis grew more skilled, more resourceful, and more determined. Communication was another secret weapon. They couldn't speak as we do, but their gestures, sounds, and facial expressions carried meaning. Warning calls, cries of fear, and shared signals bound them together in their daily struggle. At waterholes, danger was constant. Crocodiles lurked silently beneath the surface, ready to drag down the unwary. Yet Homo habilis couldn't avoid water. It was essential. Caution, patience, and teamwork were their only defenses against sudden death. The young were always vulnerable. Every member of the group played a role in guarding them. Protecting the children wasn't just instinct, it was survival. Without them, the fragile future of Homo habilis would simply cease to exist. Over time, Their tools became slightly more refined, stones shaped with intention, sharp edges carefully crafted. These were more than tools, they were symbols of progress, a glimpse into humanity's journey of innovation that was just beginning. Still, life was fragile. A broken bone could mean death. An infection could wipe out an entire family. Without medicine, without shelter, Homo habilis relied solely on endurance and luck in a world determined to destroy them. Despite the odds, Homo habilis spread slowly across Africa. Their survival wasn't guaranteed, but their persistence carved out a place in history. Each step forward was a victory against extinction. Each child born a triumph over chaos. They didn't rule their world, they survived it. For every predator avoided, every meal scavenged, and every night endured, Homo habilis proved that intelligence and cooperation could outmatch brute strength and speed. When night fell, fear settled over them. Without fire, darkness belonged to predators. The group huddled together, listening to roars, cries, and footsteps in the shadows. Yet they endured, waiting for the safety of dawn. Every sunrise was hope. Another day survived. Another chance to feed their children, to protect their families, and to keep their fragile species alive in a world where everything else seemed designed to wipe them out. Their lives were short, filled with hardship, yet every struggle carried meaning, because each day they survived pushed humanity one step closer to the incredible journey that would one day lead to us. The battle of Homo habilis wasn't just physical, it was evolutionary. Their adaptations, tools, and social bonds laid the foundation for future humans. Without their endurance, no Homo erectus, Neanderthal, or Homo sapiens would ever exist. Even in their struggles, Homo habilis displayed something profound, the first sparks of human resilience, the instinct to fight for family, to protect the weak, and to sacrifice for survival began here, 2 million years ago. They weren't yet masters of fire, nor builders of shelters, but they were survivors. Their legacy was not in comfort, but in endurance, the raw determination to live despite a world that wanted them gone. As predators grew smarter, so did Homo habilis. Each encounter shaped their future. Each loss forced adaptation. Survival wasn't guaranteed, but evolution favored those who learned, who adapted, who united, and Homo habilis did exactly that. Theirs was a life of constant vigilance. No rest without risk, no food without danger. Yet their ability to face the impossible and still endure set them apart, pushing them toward the path of becoming truly human. Unlike the beasts around them, Homo habilis dreamed in their own way, not of kingdoms or fire, but simply of survival. Yet that dream, humble and raw, was powerful enough to shape the course of history. Generations passed, children grew into hunters and guardians, families expanded, knowledge accumulated. Each group of Homo habilis became a link in the unbroken chain that would eventually lead to humanity's dominance over Earth. But every victory was fragile. A drought could scatter them, a predator attack could wipe them out. Nature gave no mercy, no forgiveness. Their survival was a constant negotiation with death itself. Still, they endured. Their small steps, tools, cooperation, resilience, were the beginning of a much larger journey. The struggle of Homo habilis was not just their own, but the first chapter of the human story. The world they lived in was unforgiving, yet their persistence made it clear, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't strength, or speed, but the will to keep fighting when every odd was stacked against them. For Homo habilis, survival wasn't glorious, it was brutal, bloody, and desperate, yet in that desperation, humanity was born, shaped by hardship, defined by endurance, and sharpened by the constant fight to live another day. Every scar told a story, every tool carved from stone marked progress, every life saved meant hope. In the endless cycle of danger and struggle, Homo habilis was planting the seeds of human destiny. They weren't kings of their world, they were survivors, and sometimes, survival alone is the most powerful victory of all. Without them, the story of humanity would never have begun. Even as they faded into history, their influence endured. Homo habilis passed down resilience, resourcefulness, and the will to fight, qualities that every human today still carries, buried deep within. They didn't know it, but their struggle was shaping evolution itself. Each child born stronger, each tool made sharper, each group living longer, these were steps towards something far greater than they could imagine. Homo habilis was fragile, But they were fighters. Their survival echoed across millennia, proving that even the weakest can endure when they stand together. This was humanity's first true battle, and they won it. From scavengers to survivors, from prey to fighters, Homo habilis carved the very foundation of human existence. Without them, there would be no us, no history, no story to tell. Their fight for survival wasn't just about living another day, it was about carrying forward the spark of humanity that still burns inside us all. 2 million years later, Homo habilis may have vanished, but their struggle lives on in our DNA. Every act of resilience today is a reflection of their ancient battle to keep the human story alive. This was the world of Homo habilis, where survival meant everything, and every day was a battle for the future. If you want to uncover more forgotten chapters of our past, subscribe now, and continue the journey.